Sony is once again expanding its Spider-Man spin-off universe, this time with Madame Web, a film featuring Dakota Johnson in the titular role and Sydney Sweeney as Julia Carpenter, the second Spider-Woman. While Madame Web may be familiar to viewers of the 90s Spider-Man animated series, her selection for a solo movie may seem unconventional. Traditionally known as an observer and mentor to Peter Parker, Madame Web is typically portrayed as an elderly woman who rarely leaves her special spider throne, where she psychically monitors Spider-Man-related activities. The upcoming film has stirred considerable interest due to its potential for franchise expansion and its speculated connection to the MCU. Madame Web is poised to play a significant role in the evolving superhero landscape, drawing parallels to Jared Leto's Morbius in terms of its standalone nature and ability to introduce new characters.
Say the line, Bart!
It's Morbin time.
While Morbius features a vampire antagonist, Madame Web brings a psychic ally into the mix. But there are some key differences. Madame Web, set in the Marvel Comics universe and centered around a relatively lesser-known character, appears to be a more distinctive and intriguing venture compared to the more conventional superhero approach taken by Morbius. Other rumors suggest that Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 could bring the gap between the MCU and the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters, potentially opening the door for future crossovers and interactions between characters from both universes. These speculations gained traction following the end credits scene of Spider-Man No Way Home in 2021, where Tom Hardy's Venom found himself transported into the MCU. Despite her usual status quo, there's more to Madame Web's history, particularly in recent years, that hints at Johnson's portrayal in the upcoming movie having connections to other fighter heroes. To understand Madame Web's significance and how she could carry her own film, let's delve into her psychic web to unravel the details. In the Marvel Universe, there are two characters who have assumed the mantle of Madame Web. The original Madame Web, Cassandra Webb, was an elderly woman afflicted with myasthenia gravis, a neuromuscular condition causing muscle degeneration, particularly in the eyes. Introduced 1980's Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 2010, the original Madame Web was blind and wore a blindfold to conceal her eyes. She spent most of her time seated in a special web-like chair that served as both her throne and life support system. Interestingly, Cassandra Webb, the original Madame Web, possessed mutant abilities that included precognition, clairvoyance, and telepathy. She can also perform astral projection and appear to others in spirit form. Madame Web is cybernetically linked to a spider web-like support system to attend to her bodily needs. The system can shift upright or recline and provides robotic arms to substitute for her arms. Her first encounter with Peter Parker involved assisting him in locating a kidnapping victim, marking the beginning of her role as a guide and mentor to Spider-Man. Despite physically learning his identity, this knowledge was lost after a near-death encounter with a Juggernaut. The original Madame Web had significant connections to three individuals who took on the name Spider-Woman. She had a relationship with the second Spider-Woman, Julia Carpenter, acted as a mentor to the third Spider-Woman, Maddie Franklin, and was the grandmother of the fourth Spider-Woman, Charlotte Witter. Unfortunately, the original Madame Web met her demise at the hands of Anna Craven, the daughter of Craven the Hunter, in the storyline The Gauntlet. Before her death, she successfully passed on her abilities and the mantle of Madame Web to her successor, Julia Carpenter. Julia Carpenter made her debut in 1985's Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars as a resident of Denver, Colorado, transported to the artificial planet Battleworld by the Beyonder. Already operating as Spider-Woman, she had a government agent background and had undergone a special formula, granting her powers similar to Spider-Man. Additionally, she could create psychic telekinetic webs, her version of Spidey's web shooters. Initially aligned with villains during Secret Wars, Julia switched sides after meeting Spider-Man. Upon returning to Earth, she continued as Spider-Woman and joined the government mutant hunting team Freedom Force, briefly acting as a villain alongside former members of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. This stint positioned her as an adversary of the X-Men for a period. Once again, Julia Carpenter underwent a change in allegiance when Freedom Force clashed with the Avengers and X-Men. She subsequently joined the West Coast Avengers and later served on Iron Man's Force Works team. Taking a hiatus from superhero duties, she focused on raising her daughter as a single mother before making a comeback under the alias Arachne. Following the demise of the original Madam Web at the hands of Anna Craven, Julia inherited her psychic powers through their shared metaphysical connection to the Great Web. This interconnected web links Spider-Man and his related variants across the multiverse, also known as the Spider-Verse. In addition to her role in the Great Web and the powers that caused Julia to lose her sight, Madam Web conveyed a crucial warning about the imminent events of the Spider-Verse storyline. Since the Gauntlet, Julia Carpenter has assumed the role of Madam Web, utilizing her psychic connection to the Great Web and precognitive abilities to assist Peter Parker mirroring her predecessor's actions. However, during the Spider Island events, where genetically engineered spiders granted Manhattan's residents powers akin to Spider-Man's, Julia fell into a coma. She later awakened during the Spider-Verse narrative, where the Inheritors sought to eliminate all versions of Spider-Man across Marvel's multiverse. Although Julia played a crucial role in thwarting the Inheritors, the experience came at the cost of her precognitive powers. In a surprising turn of events, the original Madam Web, Cassandra Webb, seemingly returned from the dead. In reality, she had a clone created by the Jackal during the Spider-Man, the Clone Conspiracy storyline. Possessing the memories and powers of the original, the clone foresaw a disastrous future if she persisted, leading to her self-sacrifice alongside other clones created in the Jackal's plot. Despite the loss of precognitive abilities, Julia Carpenter continues as Madam Web, relying on clairvoyance, telepathy, and honed blind fighting skills acquired during the tutelage of Shang-Chi. With Sony's universe of Marvel characters, the prospect of a Madam Web-focused movie may initially seem limited, considering the character's customary supportive role. However, there are intriguing hints that the planned Madam Web film might involve a collaboration with Spider-Woman. Sony is also exploring a Craven movie and gives Craven's ties to both the original Madam Web and her successor Julia Carpenter through his daughter. The possibility arises for interconnected storylines across films. This raises the question of whether these narratives could culminate in a broader live-action Spider-Verse movie, akin to the comic book storylines, potentially building on the success of the recent blockbuster Spider-Man: No Way Home, where 3 Spider-Men from different multiverse iterations joined forces. An intriguing Easter egg in that film's climax implies the existence of a Craven variant in the multiverse, with a connection to Spider-Man, likely the one set to appear in Sony's upcoming film. Furthermore, if the original backstory of Cassandra Webb's Madam Web is retained, introducing her into Sony's universe of Marvel characters would bring a prominent mutant into play. The unfolding events, however, remain shrouded in mystery, requiring someone with the ability to peer into the Great Web, or, at the very least, someone patient enough to await the revelations in the forthcoming movies. What do you think? Comment down in the section below and don't forget to like and subscribe.